Hello, everyone. Here's Erdin and Ingrid from the MIT office. We had an amazing solo forum on Sunday, and we had a lot of questions around who's the end user and how do we build personas when we are in the B2B business. And so I thought it was interesting to talk a little more with Erdin about this, and so we are here.
Well, it is fair that by the way,
Yes.
I love this initiative. So Ingrid suggested that we do a video for you guys because you have a question that seems to be coming up.
Yeah.
And let's try it. I think this is fantastic.
Yeah. So it's not scripted, so we'll just flow with it. Yes, so basically kind of the first question is like, how do we approach a problem when even though the end consumer is consuming the product, we have a business that's the one that's buying to us, right? And I think we can think of different spectrums of how involved the business may be or not, from like a DJ who plays music, and the consumer of the music is the dancer, but the club is the one that hires them, to like military security, right? Like or armaments, where you always have someone that's staying safe, or the soldier down there fighting, but who makes the purchase decisions? So what are your thoughts about that in general?
Well, I think it's a right set of questions to ask at this stage of the bootcamp. And I think another variant of this question is, well, who is your persona if you're selling to a business?
Mm-hmm.
What if you are an entrepreneur in a business-to-business environment? Do the same tools apply? I think that's fair, right?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes, they do apply. And in fact, the tools are particularly more important for business-to-business environments. So let me just set two sets of answers separately. First of all, it is important to understand the distinction between the end user and the customer, and we'll talk about that. And the second, it is important to understand the decision-making unit. This is something that you will be doing next week, so stay tuned for that. But it is the understanding of both of these dimensions of understanding your customer that is going to be important to the discussion of, how do we think about customers in the context of business-to-business entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say it's the difference between the end user and the customer?
The customer is your economic buyer. It is the person that hands over the money, signs the check, wires the cash for your product or service. The end user is someone who uses it. Now, in many cases, and that's particularly true for consumer products, the customer and the end user is one and the same. But let's be clear, in many businesses, they are not the same. For example, I think I often use the example of my kids in our webinars. And they are the end users of their toys, of their art supplies, of their sports accessories. I can assure you, my wife and I are the buyers, right? So the end users and the buyer are two different individuals in this case.
Great, yes. So do we need to build a persona for each of them, for the end user and for the buyer?
In the beginning, it focus on the end user, because if the end user is not showing traction, very likely your odds of success with the customer are not that high. So first, focus on generating traction with the end user and focus on building that persona. And as your business evolves and as you gain greater confidence in the business, you'll be able to develop personas for all of the stakeholders involved.
So this would be in an ideal state. At the end, we have personas for all the different people involved in the decision-making unit.
That's fair.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think where you're also heading, let's say you are selling a technology to a retail store, who is your end user there, right? I think that's also a question.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, some of you are asking the questions, well, how can I find my end user? I know that the retail chain in general might be interested in what we have to offer, but who is that person? Because we do motivate you to think about persona on the level of a real person, right?
Yes. So, for example, one of the cases was someone building some kind of solution so that you can try the clothes that you're buying online, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were thinking that, so the end user is the person trying the clothes, but it could be that you just integrate that into a retail's website, right?
Yeah.
So then, like, who makes that decision in the retail store?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's likely to also change depending on the retail stores, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do as much, I understand, you have to do as much research
Mm-hmm.
as possible, because it will be different in multinationals or small companies, but even between multinationals, it may be different who makes the decision.
So that's a fantastic example, right? Let's restate it. Imagine you are selling a technology to a retail chain, a technology that allows people to try on clothes in a virtual way before buying them. Well, let's just think through the value chain and the activity chain. What is going to happen for the technology to exist in that retail store? Well, first of all, you are selling the technology, you're not selling the clothes. So someone is going to have to be responsible for uploading the clothes to your technology, or for making an API connection between your technology and the merchandise database of that retail chain.
Mm-hmm.
Someone is going to be responsible for doing that, right? Possibly that's your end user. Maybe this is your merchandising manager. Maybe this is someone who is responsible for stocking the merchandise for various seasons of the year. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, and retail brands work in different ways. It could be the manager of the store. And that's interesting, because the manager of the store is responsible for driving the profit and loss of the store. And so you could say, well, it is certainly in the interest of the store manager to utilize our technology. And so it may be the store manager who is the merchandise manager. And now that brick and mortar retail is going through transformation, it is possible that the functions are converging in a brick and mortar environment. Now, it is possible that the customer is not the store manager, and certainly not the merchandising manager. If it is a global brick and mortar chain, possibly corporate is responsible for all technology acquisitions. And so the person who will be signing the check for your technology and agreeing with you on the payment schedule, agreeing with you on the terms, might be a totally different person in a totally different location with totally different interests. And that is your challenge. This is something that you will start exploring next week. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs falter. You might be solving the problem on the level of the store manager, right? And the store manager, his or her domain is at P&L, profit and loss, for that store. But for the person who signs a check at the corporate level, the interest could be quite different. The person could be thinking about revenue requirements of a much larger scale. The person could be thinking about risk profiles in a much more scrutinous way. And the person might be thinking about, well, how does this scale across our stores? I don't want to spend my time signing this check for a small amount where the technology is just not going to scale to our stores in Spain, to our stores in Vietnam, to our stores in Peru. Not worth our time. And so ultimately the technology gets unadopted. And it's important for you to think through that.
Yeah, this is really exciting. It's with big multinationals in particular, you just have to do more research, right? So for example, Unilever and Procter, they all sell consumer products, but they are very differently structured inside. One of them is like very focused on products, the other one is very focused on geographies. So you would have to do your homework for each company you're approaching in a B2B environment. Does that make sense?
Definitely, and let's use the example of MIT. MIT is a large organization some of its functions are relatively centralized. The functions, in particular functions such as procurement. And yes, we do have some choice over, for example, what hardware or software we acquired for our work. But I guarantee you, there is a procurement manager at MIT who approves, and in the first place, recommends items that MIT employees can purchase.
Yeah.
Right? So even though I might be your end user, I use a variety of software tools. We use tools for software editing. We use tools for numerous other functions. We are the end users, but the purchases go through MIT. And if you're selling software to MIT, you have to address the needs and the interests of a multitude of individuals.
And good luck.
And good luck. And, and here's what I like about you know, heading there is, toward the end of the course, we will start exploring the notion of unit economics. And that will help you answer the third important question of the bootcamp, and that is, hey, is my venture going to make money? Now, think about it. If you have to talk to many people in order for a purchase to be complete, that means more time.
Mm-hmm.
It will take you more time to make a sale to MIT, and that's fine, right? You made the sale, that's fantastic, but time is money. That means your sale to MIT is becoming costlier. Is the profit that you're gaining in the process, does it justify the time that you're spending, right? And so you might be offering a fantastic solution to MIT, but surely by the virtue of how long it takes you to make the sale, it's not a profitable enterprise for you.
Yeah, but then it also depends on what you're selling, right? Because if you're selling MIT 2,000 licenses, it may still be cheaper than going outside and trying to find 2,000 people that want your product, right? So
Right.
it's not that B2B by definition it's a less profitable business because it takes longer. Like contracts can also be leveraged.
And I think that's really the beauty of business. It's not magic.
No.
And in many ways it's a fun process. You are turning the knobs. One of the knobs is time. Hey, our sales cycle to MIT is 6 months. Is it possible for us to reduce it to 4 months? Wow, that's a substantial 33% reduction in the sales cycle. Because time is money, you are making a 33% reduction in money for that particular cost stream. How can we do that? What incentives can we provide? You know, and
yeah, maybe if you lower your price a little, you can, you know, sometimes there's thresholds through which more money requires different approaches. So maybe a little less money actually means a lot less bureaucracy to go through. So sometimes that could be interesting too.
And I think what's fun is you are in a process of discovery. You know, not many people say that, and I dislike that because they say, well, you know, ideas do not matter for entrepreneurs. I think they matter a lot, and I think you as entrepreneurs, one of your roles is to be a knowledge creator. You're creating knowledge, right? You're creating knowledge about the market, about this customer set. And you are experimenting with what would work. You're creating new knowledge, and that is your competitive advantage.
Cool. Fine. This was great. Thank you so much, Erdin.
Well, I commend you for this idea. I think it's a fantastic idea to offer in live format answers to questions that matter to you. And is the notion of persona relevant for B2B businesses? That's an important question. You've asked it, and here we are. So thank you for this initiative.
Great, thank you. And let us know what you think on Slack, and we'll see how we can continue this conversation.
Yeah. And have a fantastic weekend. Work hard, but
it's Tuesday.
Oh, it's
It's okay. Have a great week, so that then you can have a fantastic weekend.
All the best to you. We hope you're having a good time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.